Hi, welcome to the SBA Innovation Plan Canvas webinar series. I'm Debra Hellbach, your host, and with me today is Brady Calancie, as SBA Business Coach. Brady and I are part of the Seafood Business Accelerator team. Our goal is to help small-scale entrepreneurs and businesses capture more value for their harvests. This 10-part series focuses on the planning portion of the Seafood Business Accelerator. Our goal is that by the end of the series, you will be able to complete your own innovation plan. Having a plan will help you focus, it'll help you communicate what you want to do, and guide you as you grow or change your business. It's like a roadmap to where you want to go. Each webinar will include a short discussion and a presentation about a specific innovation plan topic. Brady, let's get started by introducing ourselves. I'll start. I'm Debra Hellbach, as I said before, and I have more years experience in the food industry than I like to admit. I had the good fortune to work in private industry, government, and in my own food and service businesses, giving me a broad range of experience and connections. How about you, Brady?
Thanks, Debra. I'm a consultant, a small business consultant with Onward Consulting Limited. I focus on all sorts of different industries, but I'm passionate about innovation and I'm passionate about seafood.
Hey, Brady, remind me what your ice cream business was called. I just love that name. Tell a little bit about the story.
Yeah, so we used to be called Not Brothers Company. We started out as Best Coast Ice Cream, but we figured it didn't really fit us very good. And when we were out at market selling our ice cream, people kept coming up and asking me and my partner if we were brothers, which we aren't. So we figured we'd make it a little tongue-in-cheek joke, and it worked out well for us.
Yeah, you two do look a lot like brothers. You're actually weren't your wives friends? Wasn't that how you guys met?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, exactly. I just love the stories behind how businesses get their names. And one day I'll tell you my story. So before we get started, I thought we should talk a little bit about the Seafood Business Accelerator. How would you describe it, Brady?
It was a great program. As far as accelerators go, it was innovative in itself. It included training, it included business coaching, there was expert mentoring. We helped people through the implementation, the process, and product development. And then there were aspects of peer learning and connections that came into it. So it was a well-structured program that allowed businesses to walk through the innovation process with a project and come out on the other end feeling supported and understanding where they needed to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we offered a pilot program in the spring of 2023, and we're hoping to offer more full programs in the future. And in the interim, we thought, let's create these online resources so that people could keep working on their innovation plan, keep working on moving their businesses and their projects forward. So with that, who is the target? Like, who are we targeting with the Seafood Business Accelerator and the innovation plan?
It was really very wide, which is nice for projects like this. We focused on small scale fishers, farmers, and processors. I mean, there's a lot of different groups that came under that umbrella, and we were able to support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why did we decide to use this innovation plan canvas as the basis for the program? Essentially, that's what we did, right? We had people put their plan together and then they worked on their project.
Yeah, so we based it off of the business plan canvas, which is coming up more and more in the business world, and it's a simpler way of doing planning. It is a simpler, more straightforward, cleaner, easier way to get into the strategy and planning process. So we took the principles of that, and we created one focused on innovation and focused towards the seafood sector. And the plan really allowed us to take all these pieces that we'd created, all these people we brought together, all these experts, and put it in one document that could have staying power and could benefit businesses for a long time.
Yeah, no, great explanation. And I think that's a perfect segue into your presentation. I'm going to hand the screen over to you, and you can fill people in on innovation and the innovation plan.
The first half of this presentation will be around innovation in general. The second half will be touching on how to start your innovation plan. On the slide, you can see an example of a completed innovation plan at our last SBA showcase. So what is innovation? The word itself can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. Innovation is essentially changes in something established, especially by introducing new methods, ideas, or products. And how does it apply to the seafood sector? It means increased input or increased value for your output, your catch, or your growth. Why innovate? This is an important question. Why go through this process at all? There's a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to get into the details on all of them, but on the surface, overfishing is one of the many challenges facing the seafood sector. Environmental concerns, global warming, all those issues are changing our seafood sector. We're having to adapt. We're having to change the way we do things to do business in a different way. Regulatory issues, there's increased regulations, increased processing times for being able to make changes to your seafood business. Supply chain complexity is very complicated, especially coming out of COVID. There's a lot of issues that we're still dealing with getting our products to places. Rising costs, we're seeing across the board. Consumer preferences are constantly changing. Labor challenges, finding staff, employees are harder than it's ever been. Health concerns are always important in the industry, always something that we need to focus on and keep in mind. Competing industries taking those hard-earned dollars from our clients is a constant issue, and global trade dynamics as our world is constantly in flux. It's getting harder and harder to do business the way we used to, and we need to find new, more innovative ways to do business. So every year it becomes more and more expensive to be in the seafood industry. We must learn how to diversify to survive, then we can diversify to thrive.
Hey, Brady, do you have any examples of this diversity to thrive?
Yeah, and a good example would be waste valorization, which is essentially using all of the product, using all of the fish. Some sectors are moving towards using that more. For example, using what would have been waste products for food or pet food or natural health products. They're unlocking what would have been waste and turning it into new revenue.
Right, so utilizing close to 95% of the fish, as opposed to, what is it now, maybe 60 or so.
Exactly. And it touches on so many important parts of what I previously talked about, in that it increases sustainability, it reduces waste, it allows the ability to receive a lot more input for your output.
Great, thanks.
So opportunities with innovation. Once we start innovating, what opportunities are out there? Increasing demand. The demand for seafood is significantly on the rise internationally. Current demand is already outpacing supply in many countries. So that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity when we start innovating. Value adding. This is a big one for the seafood industry. If you can take raw catch and turn it into a product, you can improve your margins significantly. Direct to consumer is big currently. Buy local initiatives are helping to drive this, and it's only going to continue to get bigger. Nation to nation, through innovation, increasing the strength of our indigenous fisheries could contribute to stronger sustainable practices and nation to nation trade. And then reducing costs through increased efficiencies, such as better business systems and automation, will help seafood businesses realize increased margins. What are the barriers to innovation? There's quite a few that we see day to day in the seafood sector. Antiquated practices, one of the first ones, because there's a way that people consider things have always been done, and that may be the best way. But we're seeing more and more that new practices and accepting change and innovation can lead to a better industry. Regulatory barriers, everyone deals with constantly. When it takes a long time to be able to make a change to your business, that can really slow down innovation. Fragmented industry, there's various stakeholders that make up the seafood sector: buyers, distributors, sellers, processors. And if everybody's working in silos and fragmented, it can be a barrier to moving the industry together. Limited access to technology. This is across the board, both while you're out in the field on farms or fishing, as well as even within the industry and processing facilities. A slow adoption of technology can hinder innovation. Market demand and perception, consumer preferences and perception about seafood, including concerns about sustainability and other concerns that they may have, can limit your innovation if your consumers aren't moving at the same pace. Funding and investment, being able to access capital to innovate, can be difficult. complex supply chain, being able to innovate in a supply chain that's so big and so complicated can seem difficult, can seem like a barrier in the beginning. And then environmental challenges. Innovation may not be the most sustainable thing depending on what innovations you're choosing. So it's important to take environmental concerns and challenges into consideration when you're coming up with your project plans and thinking about the future. So how do we start to innovate? There's a number of different ways that we can engage to begin the innovation process. Research and understanding is important. By understanding your challenges, by understanding your customers' challenges and goals and values, it can help you understand what direction you should start to move in. Collaboration and partnerships, very important. We should all be working together as an industry, and you could learn from other colleagues in your sector on things that need to change and where you can innovate. Technology adoption, that's important, as touched on before. By increasing technology, it opens up a lot of different avenues for innovation. Sustainable practices, by keeping in mind the environment and the importance of keeping it healthy, that can lead to innovations and how we can do that better. Consumer education, this is a big one as with the industry as a whole. We need to be teaching consumers about the importance of doing things a different way, the importance of engaging with seafood in a different way, the importance of accepting new innovations from the seafood sector. Regulatory engagement through lobbying bodies or talking to your MPs or anybody along those lines about making the regulatory process easier will help innovation in the long run. Investment and funding, talking to banks and investors and lenders, partners, anything along those lines about the importance of funding innovation and what grants or programs might be out there to help you start innovating is big benefit. Continuous improvement, the Japanese term Kaizen, is very important for all businesses to keep in mind. You should always be looking for, how can I do something better? How can I do this better? When you get that mindset and you build it in your company, not just with yourself and the owners, but with your staff, then you'll be able to find a lot of different areas that you can innovate. And then networking and knowledge sharing. This is outside of your sector. This is other businesses that are out there innovating. It doesn't have to be seafood businesses that you're talking to. What are other people doing that's innovative? And how can you make use of that to grow your business? So the best place to start, talking about all those other ways, the best place to start innovating is with a plan. And that's where we created this innovation plan canvas. It's a one-page document intended to get all your ideas out there so you can keep growing your business.
Yeah, do you mean that you can get everything all in one page? Like, that's the idea?
Yes, there's only a single page. This was intended to make the process of planning simple. Everything in one place so you can easily share your ideas. For example, at the SBA showcase that we had last time around, we had around 100 people walk through the event, and they were able to quickly understand what the intent of each project was. So when we're looking at the innovation plan canvas, we separate it into inward versus outward facing actions. So in the yellow on the left is inward facing actions. These are what you need to research inward with your company and changes you have to make on the inside, and figuring out on the outward facing actions on the right side. The orange ones are those on the outside that you're going to need to pursue to further the document. Just because it's set up this way doesn't mean that it needs to be filled out this way. You can fill out any section in any order that you'd like, but we wanted to create it in a structure that made sense. So the project focus box, this is the very first box in the top left corner. And the goal of this is to describe the goal of the project and what it will do for your business. You need to use SMART goals and explain what the problem will solve. That is really what you build on this document with. This is what you start with. This is where you grow. This is the seed of the idea as everything starts to come together. So when we talk about SMART goals, we're talking about goals and objectives that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The importance of this is that you're creating a structure for your actions. A structure that has accountability, a structure that's realistic, and a structure that you should be able to gauge whether you were successful or not. It doesn't make sense to have a goal that you don't know whether you've completed it or not. So SMART goals help arrange that. And a good example of a project focus entry is to create one shelf-stable product by December 2024 in this example, increase revenues by 30%, reduce seasonality within 2 years. So each topic that we touched on here is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So who can you speak with to help determine project focus? These are just some ideas that when you're trying to figure out what your idea should be, what's the next great project that your business needs, most people may have some idea of where their business should go or what they should do, but it can be difficult to know exactly how to hone that into an actionable project. So some people that you can start speaking to is your community. You can talk to people in the community who buy your products. You can talk to anybody in the area who understands what you're looking to do and see if they have suggestions or if there's things about your company they like or things that they recommend that you change. That's a good place to start. Local entrepreneur programs hosted through different organizations, nonprofits like Community Futures, Futurepreneur, anything along those lines can help foster those ideas, foster that growth, and help you get on a path. Industry associations, there's a lot of industry associations for seafood businesses, both locally, nationally, internationally. There's a lot of organizations that are out there to help and support you, and they usually have great input on where things are going and how you could fit into that. You can use your intuition, like I talked on. Some business owners already understand this. Other ones, which is very common, you need to grow on that. Your accountants and lawyers, your professional team, that's a great resource for figuring out on the financial side or on the business structure side, ways that you can improve. Financial innovation is big with companies. What can you do to lower your costs and increase your margin? Your staff, these are huge resources for being able to learn innovative ideas. Your staff work with you day to day. They work with the products day to day. They are a great resource for being able to tell you ways that you can improve. And then other innovators and mentors, people who are already out there doing something similar, they're a great resource for being able to figure out where you should create your project from. So you need to be open to the plan evolving. This is a living document, and you want to make sure that you avoid scope creep with it.
So what do you mean by living document and scope creep? What do those mean?
So traditionally, a business plan, you'd write it, it'd be 60 pages long, you get it all done, you get some financing or something for it, and then you throw it in a filing cabinet, you'd never look at it again.
Yeah, I have a couple like that, yeah.
That was not a very useful document. We want something that's living out of this. So this is something that changes. In the beginning, you fill out your project focus, you start to fill in some information as you go, and then as you learn more and as the project grows, the document changes. You go back and change it and change it and change it. Scope creep is that when you take that initial project focus and you add to it, 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 and you keep going. So that by the time that you even really dig into the details of the project, it's so entirely blown up and massive and much bigger than anything you'd initially planned on taking on. And it becomes much more difficult to tackle at that point. You can certainly create multiple plans for multiple ideas, multiple innovation plans for different ideas, but you want to keep it attainable and manageable and something that you can actually get done realistically.
You know, a good way to look at this as well is, you know, like if you go to a professional, let's say a lawyer or even a product developer or an accountant, and you don't have a focus, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to get to that focus where you can actually start working on something. And that's where this plan is so fantastic, because, you know, just 5 minutes, somebody can read what you want to do and see that you've researched what you need to do and you're ready to move forward. It's great.
That's a great point, Debra. That's a very great point. You can take this document wherever you go, to all those people we're saying you should talk to, your community, your, everybody to help you innovate. You can take this document once it's completed or partially completed and get your ideas across to them very quickly.
It's actually more of a picture than a document, really.
I think it is. It is.
Yeah.
It shows a snapshot of your project.
Yeah, well said, snapshot.
And next steps. So what do you do now? You can print your own innovation plan canvas. You can take a stab at creating your first project focus. You can watch the rest of the webinars that we've got coming up where we talk about the rest of those boxes presented by some great experts. And then once you've gotten through that first stage, you can revisit your project focus and see if it's changed with any of the new information that's provided to you, and then repeat, go through it all again if your project's changed and you need to hone in and tighten in on it a little bit. So thank you for letting me do this presentation, Debra. I think over to you.
That was great, Brady. Thank you very much. And I was making some notes every time, I look at the innovation plan canvas and how we do it. It gives me more ideas. So thank you for that overview. So I have a question for you. As a business coach, how have you seen this process help the folks that you work with?
For sure. I think one of the most common themes that came up with this is a focus. As entrepreneurs, it's very difficult. We've got a dozen things going on at any given time. Not only are you trying to keep your business running and keep everything flowing, but now you're trying to work on your business. So I found with this document, we were able to take all these ideas, all these great ideas, all these great thoughts, and bring them all together with a focus that provides a trajectory for the entrepreneur to take, for the business owner to take.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. One of the things that often comes up when this isn't the first time Brady and I have worked together. We've worked on a couple of different accelerators, and what always comes up is what people don't know. And so people come to us as coaches, as mentors, and with great ideas. And usually it's quite a few more than 12 or a dozen, but they don't know all the things that they need to know. And by focusing in on these key areas of need, when you want to either change your food business or you want to, pivot to another way of running your business, it's good to have this template or the snapshot that provides you with some of the background. I'm sure you feel the same, because we interview people and we find out what their ideas are, and then we quite often find out, well, that they hadn't really thought about maybe business systems, or they hadn't really thought about how they were going to process, or how they were going to package, or how they were going to move forward. So this makes sure that they've addressed all those different areas before they move forward.
I certainly agree, and it really touches on that kind of domino effect, that once they start learning what they don't know, suddenly they've moved from one project and they go, okay, well now I've got another project that could also improve, and now I've got another one that could also improve, because they've started to think about all these different things that they've never thought about, and having the innovation plan really brings that all up.
Well, it does. I can recall going through some of the innovation plans with people, and they'd have an empty box, and it was this glaring empty box that they hadn't thought of, and you can't leave it empty. Like, even if you're not going to do product development, the fact that you thought about it, right? So you thought about it, you thought it through, and you know what, I'm not, that's not an area that I'm going to focus on. So that means you can move on to something else. A lot of people, when they first are looking at it, they think, oh, well, we know all the regulations, but they may know regulations about one side of the business, but not something else. And those are imperative as they move forward.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Brady, before we move on, do you have any suggestions for people before they start watching the webinars, or they start filling in their innovation plan?
Yeah, I think the biggest recommendation I can have is try not to get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. This can certainly be new. This is certainly going to be a lot of information to overtake, getting in these webinars, a lot of presentations. Don't be afraid to skip something and let it sit for a while, or revisit it later, or go to Google and look up some of the things that are being talked about, or get partway through and go and do something else and then come back and do some more. The worst thing that can happen is that you get overwhelmed and you don't want to continue, and you wind up walking away, and you don't wind up gaining the benefits out of this. So if you start to feel overwhelmed, just take it slow, and grow from there.
Yeah, good advice. And I guess we should also emphasize, we're wanting people to distill everything into this one page document. That doesn't mean that you're not collecting more information than the few lines that are going into that document. So whether you're a paper filer or you're a computer filer, you're still going to want to keep the information about regulations that you went through and the information you went about market research and so on and so forth. So yeah, don't think that those few lines are enough. You have to be able to back up what you put into your innovation plan. So the next webinar is in the series is on market research, and I encourage you to take a look at that. But for me, to be perfectly honest, it really doesn't matter what order you watch these webinars. You can watch them in, if what interests you, you can watch. You can skip some, you can watch them all, and you can watch them as many times as you like. And take notes. The information is there. It's from experts that have been around for a long time. They have a lot of experience, and enjoy. Hope you learn something, and that you do move forward with your innovation plan. So with that, Brady, it's been nice seeing you again virtually. And I really appreciate your help on this project. It's been fantastic, and I know that the people we've worked with have really valued your input as well.
Thank you very much, Debra.